Hey YouTubers, welcome back to our Desert Have a Garden. Now that we have the garden beds mostly cleaned up from the old plants that were for the summer, most things have died off, now we're ready to start preparing for the upcoming fall season. Now you may notice that I have left some pepper plants in here. Now these plants were planted back in probably February. These are all bell peppers, and they have yet to produce any peppers, and they look pretty sad. But we had a strange year with some actual snow this year, and after the seeds were planted we had some frosts and all kinds of problems. We also had a high chlorine water advisory from our city, and we were unable to fix that issue at any point. So we've been dealing with some adverse conditions. I'm leaving these guys because I hope that they will produce yet. And here in our climate, it's not unheard of that these can be perennial plants, and they can live and survive year-round. We have previously had serrano peppers that lasted 2 full years for us and produced very heavily. What I have done in the rest of the bed is I've raked back the mulch, which is basically just straw that was previously in the chicken coop. I raked it all back to expose the soil. I also left a strawberry plant. Now the strawberry plant never took off, and I suspect that is partially because it's really dry over here and we never had real good watering. But something that is pretty cool in the soil when we raked back, not sure if you can see it down here, this is all worm castings. And so I don't know if the worms are eating the straw or just other things that were in the soil, but that's a good sign. I'm not seeing any worms right off, but that doesn't mean they're not there. It's pretty hot today, so they probably dug down really deep. So next I'm going to start adding some compost out of the compost pile, and I'll show you the compost bin right now. We never have enough time to get the compost to break down the way I would like to before I need to use it. So on this half you'll see the top layers are pretty dry and not real broken down. We do have a lid on our compost bin, and this is basically just a cinder block square that we made. It's so hot here that the compost dries out quickly, and so periodically I pour water in it in order to keep it breaking down. But over here the compost, you can see, has broken down pretty well. And it is usable at this point, so we're going to start adding it to the garden beds in preparation for new seeds. With several scoops of compost added into the garden, I just kind of rake it out, even the whole thing out a little bit. Can you tuck some in over around that strawberry plant? Now the soil underneath, I noticed, is very rich, which is a good thing, but at the same time you still want to maintain your good drainage so your plants have plenty of oxygen to breathe. So I want to add some gypsum, and you can add sand or gypsum in order to help break up the clay-like. This is just garden gypsum pearls, and this is what it looks like. And so that also helps add some nutrients back into the soil. I really like to use it. Let's see the label here. It adds calcium, sulfur, calcium sulfate. So those are things that we need to have added back into our garden. And one of the other things we also add are our eggshells. We keep all of our eggshells, and then we like to reuse them. We don't really want to waste anything here because most things can be reused. So our compost is the scraps from the garden in addition to our kitchen vegetable and fruit scraps. And then we keep our eggshells. I just rinse them and crunch them up. And all of these get added back into the garden as well in order to make sure we have lots of calcium. So this will get mixed in, and then we'll just cover back up with the straw, I'm going to be starting a bunch of our plants indoors because it's still pretty hot here. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of time to get our plants started before the heat kills them. Next week we're looking at highs around 101 to 104, and then hopefully after that we'll go back down. But usually in September we have still several 110-degree days, and then in October we're pretty consistently in the low hundreds, maybe even drop down into the 90s. So I will start some plants indoors, and I'll do that in another video. And once those plants are established, we'll bring them out here. It will also help keep them from getting eaten prematurely by rats and lizards, as well as rabbits. The fence around the garden is chicken wire, and it helps with a lot, but especially the lizards think that new shoots are very tender and tasty, and they like to gobble them up. So please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates.